You're waiting for a financial provision that never arrives, and deep down, you have a feeling it won't arrive. Not here, not while you're where you are. But nobody has told you why. It's not a lack of faith, it's not a lack of effort. You built it, you waited, you did everything one is supposed to do to receive what was promised. But there's something about how divine intelligence operates with Taurus that most people never understand. There's an address, a specific address where your provision is kept, and that address isn't where you are right now. The question this video will answer isn't when will the blessing arrive? It's why it can't arrive here, and what you'll need to do to be in the right place when it finally knocks on the door. Because Taurus has an extraordinary capacity for building, and it also has a capacity, which few admit, to build walls so solid that even abundance itself cannot penetrate them. If you've felt lately that something is getting close to your life but you can't quite make it in, this video is for you. Stay. And here's the question I need you to keep in mind as this video progresses. How many times in recent years has something come close to your life? An opportunity, a change, a door, and you found a reason not to go through it. Not once, not twice. Think about it. Think about the last 5 years. The conversations you didn't start. The risks you calculated so well that you ended up not taking them. The changes you postponed until they stopped knocking on your door. Taurus is the sign that knows best how to build. And sometimes it's also the sign that takes the longest to realize that it's locked inside what it built, that what was shelter has become a limit, and that all the provision that's saved for you simply doesn't reach here. And why doesn't it arrive? Why can't something as great as divine provision, something specifically woven for your life, reach you where you are? It was while searching for answers to this that I found this digital book. The Divine Path That Guides Your Zodiac, Signed to a Life of Purpose, deals precisely with what Taurus is facing right now, the tension between the security you've built with your own hands and the abundance that can only enter when you make space for it. It's not a book about giving up everything. It's about understanding that true stability never comes from the outside. It comes from an inner posture that no job, no bank balance, and no relationship can replace. It is this root that the book will help you cultivate, using the language of your own sign. And I know you're going through an uncomfortable moment of recognition right now. Maybe you're processing something you've never put into words before. This feeling won't go away on its own. It needs direction. And the best time to seek clarity is precisely when the question is still fresh inside you, not after you close this video and routine swallows everything back up. The link is in the first pinned comment. But be aware, this content may be taken down. Click now and download your copy. And while you're thinking about it, what area of your life do you know you've already fulfilled your role in, but you haven't yet found the courage to complete the cycle? Write in the comments. This exercise is more revealing than it seems. There's a recurring pattern in the life of a Taurus. Not always in the same way, not always with the same setting, but with the same internal structure. It's as if there's a train that always passes at the same time. It stops at the platform. The doors open. You look inside, feel that mixture of attraction and discomfort that every real change provokes, and then something happens. You find a reason, a good, articulate, convincing reason. And the train departs. This happens with careers, with financial opportunities that arise in a conversation and disappear if you don't act. With ideas you had years before, someone more daring had them and turned them into reality. Not because you are less capable, but because Taurus has a peculiar relationship with what is familiar, and the familiar will always win over the possible when pressure is on. The problem isn't a lack of vision. Taurus sees very well. The problem is that seeing isn't the same as acting. And between seeing and acting, Taurus finds every reason to do another round of preparation, waiting, and refinement. Another year of saving before investing, another course before starting, another conversation before deciding. Meanwhile, the provision waits. Not impatient, not with a deadline, but waiting at an address you don't yet occupy. The question no one asks, Taurus, the question I want to ask now is this: what are you preparing with such care that it's been ready for longer than you admit? Because preparation without action isn't prudence. It's procrastination disguised as responsibility. And Taurus knows how to do this better than any other sign. There is a spiritual structure behind displacement that goes beyond astrology. It's a pattern that appears in the greatest accounts of transformation in human history, not as coincidence, but as architecture. Every extraordinary provision was preceded by a departure. Not an easy departure, not a comfortable departure, but a real departure. A change of position that created space for something new to enter. Think of it like a seed inside a fruit. The fruit is not the seed's destination. The fruit is protection. It's transport. It's the covering that keeps the seed safe until the moment it needs to fall on different ground. And while the seed is inside the fruit, even if the fruit is nutritious, even if it's good, even if it's exactly what it needed at a certain moment, it doesn't germinate. It doesn't grow. It's contained within what was useful, not what is needed now. Taurus is the sign that knows how to build extraordinary fruits. It knows how to create shells of security that are genuinely beautiful, genuinely functional. The job that pays the bills, the relationship that offers comfort, the financial standard that keeps everything stable. None of this is bad. On the contrary, it was necessary. It was what the seed needed to survive until now. But there comes a time when the seed needs to fall. And that moment isn't marked by an external crisis. It isn't marked by dismissal, separation, or collapse. It's marked by an inner calling, a restlessness that Taurus often interprets as anxiety, as ingratitude, as emotional instability, when in reality it's the most accurate signal that life can send. Taurus's discomfort with the status quo isn't a problem to be solved. It's a compass, and the question remains, are you reading the signal or trying to silence it? Every seed that falls on new ground goes through a period of invisibility. This is important to understand because Taurus, of all the signs, has the most difficulty with this interval. The interval between leaving one place and arriving at the next. The interval in which you are no longer where you were, but you are not yet where you are going. This gap scares Taurus in a particular way, because Taurus needs evidence. It needs to see, touch, feel that the ground is firm before taking the step. But the new ground never reveals itself before the step. Never. That's the rule of true growth. The bridge only appears when you start to cross it. And this is exactly where the financial provision this video talks about comes in. Not as a reward for suffering, not as a prize for patience. The financial provision that God has reserved for Taurus in this cycle has a specific address, and that address is not where you are now. It's where you will be after completing a movement that has been delayed. There's something you know you need to do. I'm not talking about something vague. I'm talking about a specific thing that frequently pops into your thoughts and that you systematically put off. A conversation, a decision, a change of direction, a necessary closure. You know what it is. You don't even need astrology for that. What astrology does is confirm. The Taurus cycle now is a harvest cycle that requires relocation, not destruction, not abandonment, relocation. You don't need to burn what you've built. You need to recognize when you've completed the cycle in one place and when it's time to take everything you've learned to the next. The provision already exists. It's already been set aside. It already has its name. But it's waiting at an address that you still need to occupy. That book I mentioned earlier, The Divine Path That Guides Your Zodiac Sign to a Life of Purpose, goes straight to the issue of Taurus's realignment, not with generic advice, but with the language of your sign. True grounding, abundance that doesn't depend on standing still, and the kind of quiet courage that Taurus already possesses but rarely acknowledges in themselves. The clarity this book brings about Taurus's current cycle is exactly what you need to stop postponing the step that will open the way to what is already reserved for you. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey towards the clarity and genius you deserve. But before talking about what you expect from the other side, you need to talk about what you're protecting on this side, because Taurus doesn't stand still by accident. Taurus stands still because it's guarding something. Sometimes it's about identity, the identity of the person who built that place, who knows how to do that, who is recognized for it. Changing positions would mean letting go of a piece of who you are, or at least who you've learned to be. Sometimes it's a relationship, not necessarily with another person, sometimes with a version of yourself that you promised not to abandon. The version that said, "I'll never depend on anyone again. I'll never take risks like that again. Next time, I'll build slowly and safely." And you kept the promise. You built slowly, safely. And now the safety has become the problem. Sometimes it's the fear of being ungrateful. Taurus has a deep loyalty to people, to places, to processes that worked. Leaving feels like betrayal. It feels like saying it wasn't good enough. But that's not it. Honoring a cycle doesn't mean ignoring its closure. You can be grateful for everything a place gave you and still recognize that it has already given all it had to give. The gratitude that keeps you trapped isn't gratitude. It's guilt disguised as loyalty. And while you call it a virtue, it silently works like a shackle. And the question that emerges from this is more delicate than it seems. What are you calling responsibility that is actually fear with a nice name? And then we come to what God actually does when He prepares a provision for Taurus. It's not a miracle that falls from the sky without you having to move. It's not a transformation that happens while you sleep. The way divine intelligence works with Taurus is more subtle, more respectful of the sign's nature, and therefore more difficult to recognize. It creates a growing discomfort wherever you are, not a breakdown, just discomfort. The job that was once enough starts to weigh on you differently. The financial standard that was stable begins to show its ceiling. The relationship with money that always worked begins to reveal that it was never freedom. It was just well-organized control. This discomfort is not punishment, it's preparation. It's the seed sensing that it's time to fall. And along with the discomfort, something else begins to happen. An idea that keeps popping up, a conversation that opens a door, a skill you've always had but never monetized, an opportunity that arose from an unexpected place. These aren't accidents, they're coordinates. They're the new address being installed in your life piece by piece. The delivery hasn't arrived yet because the address is still being set up, and you're part of that setup. Every move you make in the right direction, every time you say yes to discomfort instead of running from it, you add a number to the street, a name to the city, a door to the address where the delivery will happen. God doesn't deliver to an empty mailbox. He delivers to an inhabited house. At this point in your life, Taurus, the question isn't, when will the provision arrive? The question is, what address do I still need to build to receive it? And there's a detail that the book, The Divine Path, that guides your zodiac sign to a life of purpose, explores with great precision how Taurus recognizes the difference between a divine door and a comfort trap disguised as an opportunity. This distinction is crucial because Taurus, with all its capacity to build, also has the capacity to build the wrong thing with great care. The book gives you the tools to identify where your effort should be directed now, in this specific cycle, using the language of your sign. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey towards the clarity and genius you deserve. So what does leaving mean? It doesn't mean implosion. It doesn't mean dropping everything on an impulsive afternoon and waking up the next day with no solid ground to stand on. That would be the exact opposite of what Taurus needs. For Taurus, leaving is an act of completion, not rupture. It's recognizing that a cycle has reached its natural point of closure, and that honoring this closure is as noble as having started the cycle in the first place. Think of a campfire. It warmed the entire night. It did its job excellently, consistently, with real warmth. But at dawn, insisting on keeping the fire burning is not gratitude. It's resistance to the light that has arrived. The fire didn't fail. It was completed, and now the daylight needs space to enter. Taurus has a bonfire like that burning somewhere in their life right now. You know what it is. It could be a career, a financial model, a pattern of relationship with money that was security in the past and is now a ceiling. And the question isn't whether you'll put out that bonfire someday. It's whether you'll do it consciously or wait for it to burn out on its own due to lack of fuel. Choosing is different from being chosen by necessity. And a Taurus who chooses consciously doesn't lose their footing. They rebuild it in the right place, with all the wisdom they've accumulated, with all the determination they've always had, with all the constructive capacity that is their trademark. Only now directed towards what will actually grow, instead of sustaining what has already served its purpose. There's something I want you to take away from this conversation, not as motivation, but as guidance. The provision reserved for you is not overdue. It has not been forgotten. It does not depend on more effort on your part, in the sense of more work, more sacrifice, more waiting. It depends on a different kind of movement. The movement of recognizing where you are and honestly asking, is this place still the path, or is it what prevents me from getting there? Taurus possesses a strength that few signs have, the strength to build slowly and build to last. But this same strength, when turned inward, when used to sustain what has already run its course, becomes the biggest obstacle between you and what has been prepared for the next phase of your life. You don't need more courage than you already have. You need to use the courage you already have in a different direction. Not to endure more, to complete with dignity what is ready to be ended, and to take the first step toward the address where your provision awaits. She's waiting, with your name, with everything that was promised, on the other side of an exit you already know. A Taurus that moves with awareness doesn't lose its identity, it deepens it. It carries with it the solidity it has built, the determination that has never wavered, and the ability to take deep root in any new ground. That is who you are, and the provision that comes knows it too.